So in our last assignment, we modeled our laser engraved cup in 3D. For this one, we're going to go through and we're going to render it. So we're going to make it look like the cup looks in real life. Now, before we get to rendering, we have to split our model here into different sections based on how they're going to look. So what we need to do is we need to take our cup and we're going to explode this. Explode is the command. And when we do that, it breaks it into a number of different surfaces. So if we look at our cup, the outside of it as well as the bottom are whatever color we selected. So I'm going to select those. So there's one side, there's the bottom, and then typically when you have a surface like this, it splits it into two. So I need to select the other one, and I'm going to join those together. Now I need to join then the inside and the bottom together. Because we have a closed poly surface here, we cannot join this with the inside. But what we're going to do is I'll do Control A to select everything. I'll deselect the outside, and then we'll go join. So it joins this into an open poly surface, but you notice it doesn't select the top as well. So I am going to do the same thing, deselect that, and I'm going to group those together for right now. So the inside and this lip are grouped together so that we can do that all in one. Next thing we need to do up here on the perspective tab, we need to change it to rendered, and you notice it looks white. Okay. Over here next to our layers tab, we should have a materials tab, and it looks like a little tube of paint. So if we click on that, it brings up a different looking menu. And I'm going to drag my notes down even smaller so I can see more of this menu. So I'm first going to do the outside of the cup. So I'm going to click on the outside. You can kind of sort of see that it highlights it. I'm going to click on this plus in the Create a New Material tab. And even though this is painted, I'm going to use plastic. I like to use plastic because it gives us a couple more options of things that we can do to change how it looks. So we'll click plastic. We can see our menu here. Right here where it says color, we're going to do the color picker. And we want to find a color similar to the one that we've selected. So I have the red cup. So I'm going to click on red, but this one's a little bright. So we'll kind of click around here. That looks pretty close. So we can click around here and we can pick one that we like, or we can change some other values over here. I'm going to hit OK. And then to get it to actually show up on the cup, I need to go over here next to this blue and white question mark. There's these three horizontal lines. If we click on that, the very top option is assigned to objects. When we click on that, it applies that color, texture, whatever it is, to that object. And now here's where I like using plastic, because we can play with the reflectivity, transparency we shouldn't have to mess with, the clarity, and we can add a texture. So if we're doing something that's powder coated and has a little bit of a rough texture, we can add, some bump texture to it. So we can make it a little less reflective. We can make it look a little more frosted. Okay, and for our purposes on this one, we don't need to spend a ton of time here because it doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to get it close. So we've done the outside and we've done the bottom. Now we need to make the metal, the inside look like stainless steel, the metal. So we're going to highlight that. We're going to click on the plus for Create New Material again. And this time we're going to select metal. We scroll down a little in the color picker. We notice that it gives us actual metal names. That's stainless steel. So we'll click stainless steel. Do OK. And then click on our three horizontal lines and assign to objects. And you notice it makes it look shiny. Here you can play with the polish, make it look more polished if you want. For as small as that is, since we haven't played with lighting, you're not going to see a ton of difference there. Okay? So far we've added color to our cup and we've added the inside. Next thing we want to do is make it look like it's sitting on something like, say, a countertop. So to do that, I'm going to go to the Rendering tab, which is a little blue sphere with the finger on it, or the hand on it, pointing to it. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit. If I want to do something, make it a solid color, I could do that right here. But I'm going to go down and find where it says Ground Plane. I want to make sure that is checked. And then next to it, it says Ground Plane Settings. If I click on that, it brings up a submenu. Click on Use a Material. Here, if we go down to Type, we're going to go More Types. And then this other submenu, Material Type Browser, we're going to click Import. And you notice we have a bunch of folders of different types of materials. Organic, if you wanted to have it sitting in the grass, you could do that. There's architectural stuff where you can get different, house type materials. I'm going to go down to wood. I'm going to assume I have a wood countertop. And I happen to really like walnut. And I like brown polished walnut. So I'm going to double click on that. And you notice it puts what looks like walnut on the bottom of my image here. Now, if I want to change how this looks, there's a number of ways we can do that, but probably the easiest, if we go down here where it says texture mapping towards the bottom, we see size, units, and it has some numbers. We can change those numbers, and if we do that, you can see how it changes how much that repeats. So right there, it makes it look like the grain's not quite as tight. So we can change that. We can play with that a little bit if we so desire. We do want to make sure that this button right here is clicked so that they're joined together. So if we change one, it changes them both together. Otherwise, it can kind of stretch and skew things. But that's how we would do that. Hit OK. That'll go away. So now we have just rendered the cup. There's some other things we could do. We could play with some lighting if we really want, but we don't really need to. So at this point, we're going to take a screenshot of this and save that screenshot, and that's what you're going to turn in for our LaserCup rendering project.